So going to be replacing the fuel pump today on the 2019 Kodiak 700. We're getting ready to remove a lot of these bolts and stuff along here. Have to remove these 2 bolts there. Then it's 2 bolts right in there, as well as the rack here. There'll be some supporting bolts there for the rack supports will have to come off as well. And also you have 1 fender support bolt that attaches to the rack bar up underneath here on each side will be taken off as well. So stay tuned. So I forgot to mention a while ago, this fuel vent with the check ball inside of it, it's got to be removed, because this hose has to be fed through there. So you have to pinch this clamp together with like some needle nose pliers. And then this 10mm bolt, there's the bracket that holds the check valve there, will have to be removed as well. And then that can just kind of hang down underneath there. And that's, I've already got all the other bolts for the plastic off, as you can see. And the rack is off already, so that'll be the last thing you have to do before you can pull the whole rear fender clip off. So we're gonna do that next. All right, so once again, forgot another thing that has to be taken loose before you pull this rear clip off. So the tail light wiring harness goes right here. So this is a twist lock with the tail light bulb, and it's a little stiff. So I take those pliers and then this just needs to kind of stay at this bulb. The wiring harness needs to just kind of stay out of the way like that. And so that should be it now. So we need to remove these side engine panels on each side, and then the cover that goes in front of the seat here, that decorative panel as well, in order to get this rear clip off, because it's interlocked. These side panels are interlocked with this rear clip, and then this upper clip is interlocked with those side clips. So that's why all that stuff's got to come off, and we have a video already on taking those panels off. All right, so here you have the bolts or screws that hold on the top plate of the fuel pump module here. And before we get ready to take all that off, there's a lot of sand and dirt up here. We want to try to brush away from this area. Right now I don't have a air compressor here because we're basically back at camp doing this. So I'm gonna use this little whisk broom here. But otherwise, the air compressor would be probably the quickest and most effective thing.
Okay.
So this is the fuel line that's coming from the fuel pump, where it pumps the fuel up towards the engine. This connection will have to come off of this, and also this is the power source. This is where the electricity is fed to the pump motor through this connector. So both of these will have to come off, and then these 10mm bolts here will be undone, and then the whole module will come out at that point, I think. All right, so this little red locking clip here, it's got to come off, and you got to get both tabs apart at the same time. But at the same time, you got to be careful not to break it, because it's like very you know, delicate plastic. So anyway, so we got that off, and we'll see now about removing the fuel line. It may be fuel may come out of this still. just a little bit, not a lot. And yeah, there is some fuel still in that line, so I'm gonna try to maybe keep this thing as upright as possible, but we also need to make sure nothing goes down in there, so maybe put a rag in there or something to keep trash from falling in. I got the electrical connector off. I'm just gonna move that out of the way too. Let me do this one more time. They're a lot tighter. There's dogs everywhere walking around in this neighborhood. Alright, so now we got all these 10mm bolts off. This is the point, this plate actually will come off separately, it looks like. Which I thought it was all one piece, but it's not. There's also still some more dirt here that was trapped under that. I just brush it away so it don't fall down in the tank. Like I said, ordinarily if I was at home and I had, you know, more stuff, I could clean that up better so that the dirt didn't fall down in there, but that's not the case here. So working with what tools I got and other things I've got. So yeah, this thing is slam full of gas. Let that hit, spray in the eye. What I don't know is this, yeah, that's all of it. This will just, maybe some of it there. So this is the new fuel pump module here. You can see they bubble wrapped it, and they even, this is the float for the fuel gauge here. They wrapped that. This is the new fuel filter sock here for the pickup of the pump. Little blue cap over that as well. I can get some of this stuff off. Alright, so these are the two fuel pump modules side by side. This is the original one here. You can see they pretty much look the same. I mean, this piece here is blue on the original one versus the white plastic, but I mean, generally speaking, they look pretty much the same. So, you know, hopefully it'll be all right, you know, as far as the way it's designed. I mean, it looks pretty much identical though. There we go. And this had to happen when the tank was full of gas, so you will obviously spill some of it. But I think it's down on there though. Obviously this metal plate here is important because it has this blue tab right here is a orientation for how it needs to line up on here, and there's a notch here, a tab here I should say, and a notch on each one of these plates. So the way I'm holding it is pretty much the way it has to go back on, because this is for the blue tab and these two notches are for each one of these white tabs on top of the fuel pump module here. I'm gonna take some of this gas that's spilled and use it to clean up this metal plate here, since I'm limited on what I've got to clean up stuff with. So we got the metal pump module ring on here. You got to get it up under this electrical tab here before you can get it over these studs here. And then like I said, that blue tab is there in that hole, and then each one of these notches is the white plastic tabs. So now we're going to start putting on our 10 millimeter cap screws. And just tighten these by hand first, because you know, you don't want to, you want to kind of, when you get ready to start tightening it down, do it in a star pattern so that it tightens it down evenly to make a good seal. All right, so now we're going to tighten down. Oops, it's loosening. Tighten down these 10 millimeter bolts here. This is the one that guy said he had trouble with. Looks like it went on to me. So we take this little blue protective dust cap they put on here on this outlet of the fuel pump here. That loose piece of plastic. And then we'll take the fuel line and remove that. Make sure there's nothing down in there. And see here. Slide this on. Okay, so I think that's about as far as that goes on there. Then you have these pieces here that obviously go on. See, I believe this goes just like that, but I think I have to put the red one on first, actually, before that one can go on. I believe it was facing this direction. Maybe not. Maybe it was that way.
No, you were right the first time.
Ready? Mm-hmm. So with this tab here, this red tab, this locking tab here, you got to, again, just like when you're taking it all, you got to be careful with it when you're putting it back on, because you may get one side on, but the other side might be in a bind. So we had to take it back off and, you know, approach it carefully, because they don't give you another one of these in the new kit. So you won't want to break that, you know, obviously. So you got this black piece here that's also part of the clamp that just goes like that. I think that's just another kind of like a fail safe, you know, to help hold it up against here, more or less is what that is. So you got your electrical connection all the way on and your fuel line connection all the way on. And so the next thing we'll do is test it out, you know, make sure it's gonna start up and everything like that. It may, I don't know, we may have to cycle the key a time or two, you know, to prime it, but maybe not. It may prime the first time, but we'll see. You could hear the fuel pump cut on. Before, the fuel pump wasn't priming. So the Kodiak is back running with the new All Balls Racing fuel pump. What I had noticed with the factory pump is it had some intermittent starting issues, primarily when the four-wheeler had been running for a while and was hot, and if you would cut it off, it wouldn't start back. It would just wheel over, but it wouldn't fire, or it would fire off and then it would knock back off, kind of thing. And then this particular instance here was a actual, it actually just wouldn't start at all from a cold start when I got ready to hit the trail. So that was a first for that, and I messed with it and did, you know, pretty much all the different things I had done before. You know, kind of shaking the gas tank around, stuff like that, when it had acted up on me before that had worked, that got it to start, but that didn't work this time. So I pretty much knew at that point that I thought that the factory pump had finally gave up. So I had got 3,000 miles out of the factory pump before it just finally, you know, went kaput, you know, and so I had this other pump on hand because I knew it had been acting up. And but anyway, we'll give this a whirl. You know, it seems like that the Kodiak has a little bit of extra snap to it. I think where the other pump had gotten weak, the fuel pressure maybe wasn't right where it should be. So you probably were losing a little bit of performance, you know, based on that because of the lower fuel pressure and all. So I can tell it's a lot snappier and stronger when you're, you know, the throttle response, and then also, you know, accelerating into it. It just feels like it's got all of its juice back, you know, all the power back that, you know, it had from the very beginning. So anyway, though, we'll see how it goes, and thanks for watching.